Okay. Nico, can you lead the prayer?
Ako, ma'am.
Nico. Sige, Rico. Ikaw na lang, Rico.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into test, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Amen. In the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good afternoon, everyone. Praise be Jesus and Mary. Okay. So this afternoon, we will not yet have our checking, no, to give a chance to other groups na medyo layo pa kaayo ang ilang progress, no. But hopefully, final na by next week Monday we'll have the checking, and I will post the schedule of checking kung katong per group. And so this afternoon, I will be discussing katong conclusion para katong mga groups pod nga taas na og agi, no, and pwede na sila mag-proceed sa writing of the conclusion. They can start na writing the conclusion as well as the abstract. So, and then afterwards, I'll be asking the group of Geno and the group of Nasi Camille or group ninyo Nico Gomera to share to the class your progress or how did you do your testing and what is your testing mechanism or how did you or what's your way of testing your application. Sige, so ito siya. So we'll request two groups to share their work to the class. And then, sige. And then we'll start with the discussion of the conclusion. So, si conclusion, I will just be using this guide. Kani siya. This is very intuitive but really very helpful. Sorry, taas kayo ang link, no? Wala na lang dyan ako nag-shortcut. Pero yes, you can click that link and you can read it afterwards. Pero I'll be sharing to you. And then later, I'll give you an example, actual example as to an example of a conclusion. So conclusion is just a very short part or section of the paper. Usually, one paragraph lang na siya, 5 sentences or more. Basta dili lang kayo siya, as in walang paskiro 10 sentences. But it's very short, but one of the most important part of the paper. Lahat, all sections of the paper are all important. But the conclusion, siya man good ang mag-open og new opportunities or siya ang mag-open og questions, more questions for other researchers or for the researchers themselves kung unsa pa ang ilahang next step na buhaton. Or like they will focus on that part of the kay usahay man good ginaisa na siya ang conclusion and recommendation or unsa pa ang future works na siya dira sa section nga conclusion ginabutang. So later I'm going to show you an example. But this is a very lang siya, very intuitive na kuan na explanation or very kanang simple but insightful kayo siya na explanation as to what the conclusion section is all about. Okay, so let's start. So writing a research paper is significant but dreaded part of the academics. But while many students consider it as an arduous task, the writing process can actually be a rewarding experience, especially when done correctly. So as for myself, no, personal experience na ako really doing a research, and the one doing the actual work, the technical work, plus writing it is very rewarding on my part. And ano gid siya, it's a very good unsa na siya, way of learning. Okay, so I had started katong college man gud just a ano lang no, sharing lang no. When I was college, wala man gud ning, wala pa ning capstone project sa amo sa una tong college ko. Wala pa capstone project, and then since IT man ko, BS IT, wala pud mi thesis. Ang naa lang gid ato sa amo sa una kay ang murag culminating project na mo ato sa una before me makagraduate was we need to be able to come up as a class. We need to be able to develop katong mura siyang integrated na system. So kuan siya, more on development. So wala pa gyud siya, wala pa gyud kanaing ani wala pa capstone project, dili wala pa gani mi na orient nga kani mga publications, wala pa gyud ni sa amo sa una. And the writing part was more on the kanang we were asked to write reflections. Ingana pa to sa una. So every weekly man to ang checking ato sa amo. So every week na ay submissions of your reflections every day. So ingana ang ginabot. So kapoy kaayo to siya, but honestly, as a student, since requirement man siya, and kanang ako as a student na kuan kayo no kung unsa ang gi-require mo jud na siya mo jud na siya ang i-submit kaning ana, so kailangan mag-submit jud ko kay gi-require lagi ing ana. Pero as time passes by, starting from that year, I think I was third year that time, so nag-start siya third year, and then di-continue na mo siya by fourth year. It was a habit. It became my habit na from time to time, ginasulat jud nako na every time nga na ako'y maisip, no? Na ako'y maisip, ginasulat nako na siya. Any type of a paper, tapos gina-compile nako na siya, ginaipit nako na siya sa nako'y isa ka binder, isa ka notebook. Kung asa nako ginabutang tanan nako mga thoughts. And pag gina-check magud mo na siya, makarealize ka na, tama day no, naisip day na ako ni siya sa una. So, babalikan nimo siya ba and ma-refresh ang imuhang mind. So, really, writing whatever it is that you are undergoing right now, bisan pag dili siya academic related, it will help you have kanang mawala ang imuhang mga medyo makatabang siya na mawala ang kanang mga bisag-unsagod nimo na ginaisip when you write it down. So especially kung karon na pandemic na wala kayo tay ka istorya na or maglisod tag open up sa mga tao nga nasa tuang palibot, maglisod tag open up, maglisod tag ingon sa kung unsa ato ang mga gusto ipang istorya, writing it down will really help. So journaling, whatever it is that you want to call it, pero really pouring your thoughts into writing will really help you. So kana siya. So kapoy siya buhaton. So I understand no sa most of the groups na kanang kung basahon nato ang ilahang basahon ang paper, medyo usahay labad kay siya sa ulo basahon, pero it's a practice. So kung perminti lang ta magsulat and dili nato siya isipon as something na it's because it's a requirement, kapoy siya buhaton, maanad ra mo ana. Okay, so maanad ra mo ana, and makatabang mangguna sa inyo ha, especially kung magtrabaho na mo, and kung ang intention ninyo is to work for a certain company, labaw na kung ang isa ka company established na siya na company, it will help you if you really do good in writing. Okay, communication, that's one part. Ability to communicate through writing is a very important skill na dapat nato siya matun-an. So katong mga groups na medyo nasa point nga unsa man ni siya pagsulat, kapoy na siya pagsulat, don't lose hope, practice lang jud. And I'm giving you time to really polish your work kay para para later on pag i-go back manggod ninyo siya and basahon ninyo siya usab, kamo mismo ma-proud mo sa inyong self na nabuhat ninyo siya. Okay, so a research paper has a number of essential elements, each requiring knowledge gathering, understanding of the subject, and effort to formulate. So this is very important, especially when I do check your work and then I ask some questions, and then I really admire students who can really answer my questions directly, and kanang ano ba, there is really a mastery in the topic, so that they have that they are doing, or they have chosen. So when I try to ask questions, and then a member of the team or the group will be able to answer me directly as to kanang ano ba kanang ma-answer gid nila ang question giunsa man ninyo aning so nganong gibuhat man ninyo. That's one of the question, medyo tricky na question na gina-ask usually, no? Nganong kailangan man ni nato siya buhaton? Nganong kailangan man nimo ni siya pangutanon? Why did you wrote this sentence? Kanang may ana. Kanang mga why na mga questions, and then you were able to answer it na clearly, and kanang ano gid siya. Dali ra nimo siya ma-answeran. I admire those kind of kanang students. So, ibig sabihin, they really put effort in doing their work. So in this article, we will focus on the conclusion part and how to create one that leaves an impact on the readers. So kana siya. According to Faryadi, writing a conclusion is as difficult as writing the introduction. So very important siya, because when we say introduction, no, once na mabore na gani na imuhang reader magbasa sa imuhang introduction, most likely dili na gid sila ganahan mabasa sa conclusion, or dili na sila moabot sa conclusion, or dili sila magka-interest ba. When we say the introduction man good, one aspect na gusto nato ma-encourage sa ato ang mga reader is to ask the question, giunsa kaya nila ni pag-solve the problem. Okay, in the introduction, di ba, if you could still remember, and if you review your paper, nasa introduction nato gi-post kung unsa tong goal nato and unsa tong problem na gusto nato i-solve. So once na si reader, dili na sila magka-interest mo basa, or sa introduction pa lang na bore na sila, or walay something na spark when they read the introduction, dili na gid sila maabot sa conclusion. So same as with the introduction, the conclusion as well is very important, because it is the part of the paper that will give the reader kanang murag final impression ba, or last impression sa inyong paper. So kunyari, if the conclusion is very well written, kuan ka na siya, makalive gid siya og kanang makaingon ta ba na, ay, gusto gid ako ni siya i-bookmark na paper, kay gusto na ko siya balikan. Gusto na ko siya balikan next time na if magsulat ko, gusto na ko siya i-reference na paper. So, maingana siya. So, Hollywood states that writing the conclusion is the hardest part of the writing process. As the last part of a research paper, the conclusion is the point. The conclusion is the point where the writer has already exhausted his or her intellectual resources. So meaning, naagian na nimo, daghan na kay kag naagian before nimo nasulat ang conclusion. So sa conclusion na part, very rare and seldom gid kay ka makakita dira og mga citations, because most of the things that you will, most of the ideas that you will be writing on the conclusion na part are consolidation of everything that you have learned and you have discovered while doing the research. So, sa conclusion na part, diha po di mo maingon kung na-achieve ba nimo or wala ba nimo na-achieve ang imuhang goal or objective sa imuhang research. Conclusion, however, is what readers often remember the most, and therefore must also be the best part of your written research. Very lang siya, obvious na reason siya ang pinaka-ma-remember. Pero although ang methodology na part, isa po na siya sa part sa research paper na ako personally isa siya sa part sa research paper na ma-remember kay na ako because I'm very much interested as to how. Isa po na siya sa isa sa part sa research paper na kanang usay ginabalik-balikan ako kay kanang lalo na pag interested ko kung giunsa nila pagbuhat. But the conclusion na part man good is mo retain good siya kay siya man good ang last last na section sa isa ka paper. So again, pwede siya conclusion lang, pwede po siya conclusion and recommendation ang i-title nimo sa section. Pero ako, most of my papers, conclusion lang na siya kung ginabutang, pero included na sa conclusion na section ang future work. So usually ginabuhat na ako, the last part yun na ang future work or na isa ka paragraph para sa future work. So let's jump to this part. So the conclusion is the part of the research paper that brings everything together in a logical manner. So as what I have said, it is a consolidation of everything. So as the last part of a research paper, a conclusion provides a clear interpretation of the results of your research in a way that stresses the significance of your study. So ma'am, unsa may kalahian nila sa results and discussion? So in the results and discussion na section man good, it's a detailed, very detailed kayo na siya na discussion. And as what I have said in our last meeting, when we had the results and discussion nga session, even though it is not significant, it is not a significant result of your study or of your paper, but you deem to see it as relevant, you can write it in the results and discussion. Pero in the conclusion na part, ang katulang yung mga significant na tanaw nimo align jud kayo siya sa objective and goals sa imong study, katulang jud ang imong i-mention sa conclusion. So later I'm going to show you an example of a paper. At kung unsa jud tong i-highlight nimo sa imong conclusion. And ang conclusion dili gyud na siya taas, sa mubo lang jud kayo na siya na pagkasulat. Usually 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs ko na kay future works. So a conclusion must be more extensive and encompassing compared to a particular finding, and in the same vein, various findings may be integrated into a single conclusion. So mura siya, it's not a summary but really a consolidation of everything that you have learned. So mas mas kuan lang siya kanang i-lump lang gid nimo siya into 1 paragraph ang tanan nimo findings or kanang important or significant findings nimo na makita siya sa results and discussion. So unlike the introduction where you open a dialogue where you readers about with your readers about the problem and or presents questions, arguments, and what knowledge gaps you aim to bridge, the conclusion provides a clear and concise picture of how you are able to accomplish all of this. So, concise na siya. And meaning, unlike sa, di ba sa methodology is specific steps man siya, procedures, unsa imong gibuhat, yun sa nimo pag, unsa ang imuhang katong development phase nimo, unsa ang prototype na imong gibuhat, tapos unsa nimo pag-test tong imong prototype, so na siya sa methodology. And then after sa methodology, nagsulat kag results and discussion because gipa-test na nimo tong imong gibuhat na prototype, gisulat nimo siya sa results and discussion in very detailed format. While sa conclusion, concise na siya. And always gina siya na ang isulat nimo sa conclusion will match sa imong objective. Okay, so as I will be showing in the example later. So the conclusion is where you describe the consequences of your arguments by justifying to your readers why your arguments matter. So sometimes you parang i-justify nimo dinhi nganong wala siya nag-work and nganong nag-work siya. Okay, so kung niingon ka sa imong gibutang nimo sa imong results and discussion nga kunyari strongly kung ang results sa imong testing is agree sila tanan or they find or the testers find the solution kuan kay siya suitable for what they need or mao gyud ang ilahang kailangan, then sa conclusion i-justify nimo na siya na nganong nakaingon ka nga na-solve nimo ang imuhang objective or ang goal sa imuhang study. So basically sa murag ang opening statement nimo ana sa conclusion is kanang we were able to achieve we were able to achieve kunyari a learning curve ang imong gusto na ang objective nimo is ma-increase ang learning capacity sa mga students. So in this study we were able to increase the learning curve of the students by a factor of 5 or in a percent there was a 10% increase in the learning of the students so through or by using our application. So isa na siya sa mga conclusion nga imuhang ibutang. And then ibutang nimo pag-giunsa ninyo para mo increase by 10% ang learning capacity sa mga students. Okay, so diha na siya sa conclusion ninyo ibutang. So okay, so kani siya is for the future work ni siya. So the conclusion as the part of the research paper leads the readers from a narrow or specific results to broader and more general conclusion. So naatoy wait, dili maklaro ang kuan. Wait lang . Okay. The conclusion plays an important role in giving you the opportunity to have the final word, create a good impression, and end your paper on a positive note. So, when you say positive note, not necessarily mean na moingon ka na always dapat ang imuhang result or ang imuhang i-conclude din ha is we were able to achieve our objective, tapos na satisfy gid na mo ang goal. Dili kailangan nga na. Kay what if during the results and discussion, wala jud din ninyo na-achieve ang gusto ninyo i-achieve na or katong wala gid ninyo na-achieve ang inyong objective. So when you say positive note, ibig sabihin, you leave a room for future work sa inyong conclusion. So meaning, pag negative gani ang result sa inyong results and discussion or tanaw ninyo ano siya sa pagtanaw niyo sa result kay kuan siya kanang ay wala day siya ni gana, labaw na kanang mga type of research nga naga-experiment and then during the experimentation kanang wala ni gana tong ilahang hypothesis or kanang during experiment nila kay kunyari, nagpa-test mo, tapos wala naganahan ang mga tester or tanaw nila, dili man ni siya maayo or dili man ni siya makatabang sa mua. So, that doesn't mean nga ibaliktad ninyo siya pag-abot sa conclusion or mag-reason out mo dito na kuan ka ng, ay, ang mga tester man good, ingani. So, dili siya ingana dapat. When you say positive, you would want to encourage or to relate to the readers nga you will not stop there. Okay, so iingon gihapon ninyo nga kuan siya wala na satisfy or wala na na-achieve mo ang goal because so namoy ibutang ano kayang kani jud ang pinaka-importante especially when I review papers, conference papers, isa jud na siya sa ako ang mga ginapangita is ang analysis sa researcher. Bahalag negative na ang imuhang result. Bahalag wala nimo na achieve na. Dili wala nimo nalampasan tong wala nimo nalampasan tong kinsa tong pinaka-highest karon, especially kanang mga nag-appeal og contest kanang mingon sila na ako 90% ako ang accuracy rate, tapos ikaw nga nag-experiment gusto nimo malagpasan tong 90%, pero during your experiment wala nimo siya na nalampasan. So ang importante din na kuan is you say nga wala nimo siya nalampasan or 85% lang ang imuhang nakuha. Kaya lang dapat maingon nimo ngano kayang wala nimo siya nakuha, or ganong wala kaya ka niabot og ingani nga level. Okay, so ang himuon na pud nimo din ha is i-compare na pud nimo sa katong existing or sa katong kinsa tong pinaka-highest. So sa inyong case, i-compare ninyo siya sa inyong mga RRL. So katong inyong mga gipang RRL, unsa kaya ang naa sa ako ang literature review nga wala nako na implement. Okay? So unsa kaya ang naa sa ani na system nga wala sa ako ang nabuhat. Kay ngano kayang mas daghan ang nag-agree sa ilaha, tapos daghan ang mas nigamit sa ilaha kaysa sa mga ni-agree sa ako ang system. So other thing na pwede niyo ikuan is kanang mga limitation. So very important na siya, nakabalo mo unsa ang limitation sa inyong study. Okay? So napa mi joke sa una na as much as possible katong mga naga-research sa una ng mga students po, tapos usually gina-advise na ako as much as possible dapat kabalo jud ka kung asa jud na ang limit gid sa imong research paper, kay labaw na kung during proposal pa lang na siya or gina-propose nimo na siya na research paper, and then wala ka kabalo sa imong limitation, especially sa imong skills, wala ka kabalo sa imong skills, wala ka kabalo sa technology limitation nimo or technology limitation sa imong study, ano jud ka ana mabira jud ka ana kay kuan, kunyari ang imong panel is very idealistic, and then moingon na sila na ganong ingani pwede man nimo siya buhaton, ingani buhaton, tapos dili nimo ma-defend og tarong kay wala ka kabalo kung unsa ang imong mga limitations. So be sure na when you write the paper and when you present it, okay, so during the presentation kabalo ka kung unsa ang mga limitations, kay especially kung naay mag-throw og question sa imuha and then dili din na siya part sa imuhang scope and dili siya part sa imuhang limitations, and then magpataka lang kag tubag di ara na wala didto, tapos dito it would have been easier resolve kung giingon nimo siya na ma-justify nimo siya nga out of scope siya and really not part of your study. So, it's very important na when you write the conclusion, iset nimo ang boundary gyud sa imong study. So, you stress the importance of your paper. So, nganong gihimo nimo siya na paper, ibalik lang nimo siya state. So, first opening statement nimo sa conclusion is i-state nimo balik kung unsa to ang goals sa imong study and why you are doing the study. And then at somewhere in the part of your conclusion, you give your paper a sense of completeness. Okay, so although no paper or no study is complete, wala jud tay maingon nga complete nga study, no, kay nagyo na siya permanente room for improvement and future work, pero based on the objective nimo, tagaan imong sense of completeness ang imong research paper. So and then you will leave a final impression on the reader. So effective strategies in writing a conclusion. So medyo baliktad siya, no, sa introduction. Kay si introduction, sige, basahan na lang natin . Your research paper conclusion is the opposite of the introduction, not just in placement but also in the structure. Okay? So si introduction, pinakauna siya, si conclusion siya jud na usually ang pinaka-last. The introduction generally follows the inverted triangle format with the general statement element on top narrowing down to the main point of the research. So, di ba, ingani man ninyo pagkasulat ang inyong introduction. You write an opening statement or a general statement, mo na siyang pinakasugod Like, you cite the global scenario, tapos the national scenario, and then the local scenario, and then unsa ang point sa imong research. Nganong kailangan nimo siya buhaton or unsa ang goal sa imong research. So, ingana pagkasulat sa introduction. While the conclusion, on the other hand, follows the inverted introduction structure by opening with the highlights of your research. So, you start with restating the objective of your research. Nganong kailangan nimo siya buhaton or nganong nabuhat ni siya na research with a general but relevant statement that encourages readers to think as well as challenges them to take action based on the new pieces of knowledge they have gained from your research. So, this is usually written through the future work. So later, I'm going to show you an example how future work is written. So it is something that will open, you leave a space for your readers to think and encourage them to also challenge, either challenge your work. So, kunyari, sige daw, kanang murag, it's something that will leave them to ano ba, to also say to themselves na, bitaw no, unsa kaya kung butangan nato siya ingani? Kanang may ingana good siya na kuan, ingana na element na pwede nato siya ibutang sa ato ang sa conclusion siya na part mabutang. So this is the anatomy of a scientific paper. So nabuhat naman ninyo ni siya. So this is 2 and 3 is more on the RL, wherein we identify the knowledge gap to be filled. So kabaluta kung unsa tong mga existing, it's 2 and 3. And then you write the methodology, the results, and discussion. So gisa lang nato ni siya. And then the last part would be the conclusion. What does this mean for us going forward? So, kato siya. So, I would encourage you to write the conclusion as something that you would want to look forward to writing for your capstone project. So, meaning, something that you would want to continue after. Okay, so sa conclusion, so unsa kaya tong mga, aside from actual development of the system, unsa tong mga specific questions na gusto ninyo answeran during the next phase. Okay, so during the next phase. So pwede ninyo i-cite ni inyong work karon, inyong trabaho karon, inyong gibuhat karon, and then kunyari magbuhat na pud mo next term, i-cite ninyo ni inyong gibuhat karon. So like based on our work, katong title ninyo, title sa inyong paper karon, we found out that there is a lock-in or that we could also work on mga ingani-ngana. Okay, so pwede ninyo i-cite ning inyong paper na gisulat karon as long as kuan siya, comprehensive enough siya to be cited. So, a conclusion is synthesizing instead of summarizing. So, as mentioned previously, the conclusion is not a summary of your research paper. While a summary can be an element of this section, so as a summary, meaning you state the objective, and then what did you do to achieve the objective, and then what is the result of what did you do, or the result of your methodology, katong inyong actions na gibuhat. So instead of repeating what you already said in the abstract, introduction, and body of your study, demonstrate to your reader how the essential elements in your research coherently fit together. So meaning, even your learnings, pwede ninyo na siya isulat sa conclusion. Okay, so kanang usually this is a section that will kung ako as a researcher, usually sa conclusion ako ginabutang ang kung unsa tong mga na-learn nako and unsa kaya tong mga dapat wala day nako gibuhat or mga gusto nako pabuhaton. Okay, so dira na siya sa conclusion na section na part nimo siya ibutang. Okay, so echoing the introduction. So this approach to writing the conclusion brings your reader to a full circle by using or referring to the same elements you use in your introduction or by drawing parallels. So an example of this would be retelling a scenario you described in your introduction. But this time, while creating a new understanding of the subject based on the results of your study that further reinforces your arguments and or hypotheses. So, pag moabot naman gud mo sa introduction na, ay sa conclusion na section, ibig sabihin daghan na kay mong nagian, daghan na kay mong nabasahan, daghan na kay mong gibuhat. Okay, so although kani siya gibuhat lang nato ni siya or gibuhat lang ninyo na inyong paper for pila lang siya ka months. Starting atong kano sa kita nag-start March ba? So pila lang siya March, April, and then May. So, in less than 3 months lang ninyo siya gibuhat na paper, and usually, a good research paper would take 6 months to a year ang na mga experiments and development. So, sa inyo ha, job well done kay sa inyo ha, because you were able to really write a good paper na in this specific or in this short period of time lang. Okay, so how much more kung sa conclusion na part ano gid ninyo siya ma-pour out gid ninyo tanan ninyo learnings dito sa sa conclusion na part. Okay, so your conclusion plays the role of being your reader's bridge back to the real world after welcoming them into your study through your introduction and immersing them in your methodologies. So kanito na kung always good na look forward when reading a paper, mura siya kanang nagabasa kog story ba? Nagabasa kog story sa researcher, mabasa na ako dito kung unsa ang actually isa to sa very good nga nabasa na ako sa paper nila Camille, sa group nila Gumera na giingon gid nila dito sa ilahang research paper na kanto siya with the limited knowledge that we have, tools, katong mga sa patuloy lang giingon dito, and then the instructor told us to include this kind of feature. Okay, so nakoy mga comments ato which are things na dili na nimo siya kailangan buhaton, but that is something na nindot jud siya basahon. It's like a story of what you really did during the process of writing the paper. So, when actual na conference paper na siya, pag isubmit na siya, dili to siya kailangan na siya mabasa. Okay, so dili na to siya kailangan mabasa, but kailangan ma-relay gihapon nimo siya in such a way na learnings na ninyo to siya. So, basically, moingon na mo dito, state na ninyo siya as something na gibuhat ninyo. So, as a researcher, so ibutang ninyo, so we incorporated this this functionality to so on and so forth. So, unsa ang reason nga nung kailangan na ninyo to siya ibutang na functionality? As something, you tell it or you write it as something na kamo ang nakaisip ato. Okay, although I was the one who suggested that feature. Okay, so same to all other groups no, nakatong mga sige lang man jud ko mag-suggest naman jud ko na sige kay since collaborative man ni siya, so dapat na jud siya collaborative na element. Kay kung sa title nimo na siya collaboration and objective nimo is to make it collaborative, then I will look for that feature that will make it really collaborative. So ingana siya. So asa man din ha. So bisag unsa pa nakagwapo ang imuhang application or ang imuhang system, kung wala dito ang goal gyud sa imuhang paper, wala gihapon. So it's something na purag katong term pa na garbage. Okay, so murag ma-classify perminti gid mi ingnan ana ba na okay, this paper no matter how good it is, no matter how perfect the grammar is, kung ang element ani, kung ang content ani is not something that will achieve or will target your objective or your goal, this is still a garbage paper. So garbage lang gyapon na siya kay dili man na mao ang ato ang gusto mahitabo. So same with the other groups, you assume, you write the paper as something that ikaw as the researcher or kamo as the researcher na-acquire ninyo siya na knowledge or kamo ang nakaisip ani kanay nga na. So usually pag kanang naaga ni mga contribution from other groups, kunyari peers nimo nagsuggest nila na uy nindot lagi ni siya nabutangan nimo siya ging ani, and then gi-include nimo siya no, you normally include them in the acknowledgement. So natay ginatawag na acknowledgement manggod na section. So sa acknowledgement na section, pwede nimo i-acknowledge tong mga tao na nagtabang sa imuha. So nagtabang sa imuha na makaisip og kanang mga ideas or nagsuggest sa imuha og mga techniques kung saan ninyo siya pagkabuhat. Okay? But the main content of the paper, you write it as your own. Okay? So, you claim it. Kamu man ang nagsulat, ana. Kamu man ang researcher, ana. You need to have the knowledge or expertise or mastery on that topic. So, bisag unsaon pa mo baliktad-baliktad og pangutana, ana, since kamu man ang nagbuhat, ana, you should be able to answer the questions or kato siya. So, challenging your own conclusion, also called the so what game. Okay? So, kani siya, isa po din siya sa mga natunan nako na when you write the conclusion, napod ka, pangutanon ni mo imong sarili as the researcher, so what? Kanang maring anagod. This strategy requires challenging your own ideas by asking yourself, so what? While you are in the process of developing your conclusion. Once you are done putting your conclusion to paper, go through it with someone who will challenge what you wrote. So you can ask a friend to read. Kaning so what man good na question kay mura siya. So unsa naman karon? Kanang ana good. So kung pangutanon nato atong sarili sa conclusion na part, after doing all of these things, katong introduction ninyo, tong RL ninyo, katong methodology ninyo, ang results in discussion ninyo, pag-abot sa conclusion, ana, ang pangutanon ninyo sa inyong sarili, when you write the conclusion, so unsa karon? So, after doing all of these things, unsa naman ang ato ang insights ani? Unsa naman ang ato ang pwede na masulat di ari? Okay, so kana siya. Kamo as the researcher, kamo na writer, kamo nga mosulat ani nga paper, sa conclusion na part, pangutanon ninyo ang sarili, unsa karon ang ako ang contribution, unsa karon ang ako ang karon ang ma-impart, okay, na knowledge based on the things that I did. Sa kadaghan-daghan sa inyong gibuhat, unsa karon ang ako ang ma-impart na knowledge. Okay? So, usually, daghan kayo magmakuha na insights na pwede ninyo masulat sa inyong conclusion after letting your target users do or use your prototypes or application. So, daghan kayo magmakuha na. Especially katong mga type of research work nga mag-immerse gid sila sa society, kay kana sila daghan kay na sila masulat sa conclusion. Namo gyud ibang research na for example kanang mga experimental research, so more on quantitative na conclusion, pero katong mga research work nga nag-adto sila sa society or nagpa-test gid sila og kanang mga group of people, ingana daghan kay mo pwede masulat sa inyo ang conclusion. So this strategy can help you find loopholes in your conclusion and refine it in the process. So same with the other sections, no, mas nindot gid siya kung ipabasa ninyo siya sa uban, especially katong walay knowledge about your research, tapos kung na sila mga questions, then that would be a good opportunity for you to ask also yourselves. Dama din no, wala din ako siya na-include sa ko ang paper. So ito. So this strategy implores you, the researcher, to identify the weak points in your research paper, which include the aspects where your argument is lacking, or if there are instances where your conclusion might be incorrect. So this strategy is useful in writing conclusion for scientific papers as well as experiments. Demonstrating ideas to create a new picture or meaning. All relevant data must be interpreted in appropriate depth. So dito na siya sa results and discussion. Explain how the methodologies or mechanism used as well as your observation that help arrive at your study's results. So there are times when your study may not yield the results you expected, so as what I have said a while ago. In cases such as this, explain to your readers why this may have happened. So if the results are in line with your expectation, proceed to describe your theory supported by evidences through your results and discussion. So, okay, so moingon ang tako ba na no room for questions na pag good paper, pero not all the time na siya. So sometimes a good paper will also lead to a lot of opportunities to do other research questions. Okay, so posing questions, what to avoid. Sige, kani siya. Very important. So what to avoid, including in your conclusion, generic and obvious opening phrases. I mean, opening phrases. Do not start your conclusion with generic phrases such as in conclusion. So I think sa high school man ata ko. High school ko when we had our kanamang good mi kuan kanang ansa na siya. Katong among section kay ano siya. So katong section namo pag high school, privileged enough to have kanang mga kanang scientific experiments ingana. So ang ginaingon ana perminti sa amo kay start gid sa conclusion kay sa to siya natoy term na ginagamit before aside from kaning in conclusion kalimot ko nato basta nato yung opening statement na ginagamit, so which is karon dili siya advisable. So what we would want to really write in our paper is something na personalized did kaayo siya, and again usahay man gud ano no, especially kanang nay uban na nagsubmit sa nay uban group na magpa-check na very ano kay siya, very full blown paper siya. So again, a conference paper or a technical paper is really different from, although ang mga concept niya, ang mga strategies, ang mga unsa na siya ang mga um, mga elements na dapat na isaisip nato when we write this specific question is same siya sa katong full blown, pero always remember na magdepende jud na siya ang pagkasulat gid nimo sa paper sa conference, kung kinsa tong nagpatawag sa conference. Okay? So but avoid using this one na mag-start og in conclusion, in summary. Ya tapos din no nagamit po dai ko ani no. Okay, so hopefully wala ko ni gamit ani no. So in conclusion, in summary, in closing, while this may be an effective transition during oral presentation, it does not work the same way on actual paper, where your readers can tell exactly which part of your paper they are reading. Okay, so katos. I normally like to write my unsa na siya conclusion as normally ako ang ginagamit ata na closing statement or opening statement sa conclusion kay in this paper murag ibalik na ko ang readers to what the objective is all about or what this paper would want to do. Okay, so ingana usually ako ang magsulat og conclusion. So in this paper, we did blah blah blah, or we aim to, so this paper aims to study the for example, to study the relationship between political related tweets to the result of the election. Okay, so for example, yung mong opening statement sa conclusion. So this paper studies the relationship between political related tweets by the netizens to the result of the 2010 election. So so that's your opening statement in the conclusion. So do not end with in conclusion or in summary. So usually mabasa nato na siya sa kanang mga katong mga katong hardbound na mga capstone or thesis work. Adding new information. The conclusion part of your research page should have room for any information relevant to your study but is not referenced anywhere else in your research paper. So kunyari, mag-mention ka dira sa conclusion nga dili siya supported by your study. So ibig sabihin dito, murag nag-mention ka dira sa conclusion og something nga nakuha nimo somewhere else. So, ang isulat lang gid mo sa conclusion is in reference to what you did while conducting the research work. So So, dapat makita na ko na siya somewhere sa methodology. So, kung mag-check na pud ko sa inyong paper, tapos magbutang mo sa conclusion, mana ko na, asa na ko ni siya mabasa dapit. Okay, so, dapat ma-reference ko nimo or ma-point ko nimo somewhere in your paper. So, either na siya sa introduction ba because it's an objective, or na ba siya sa methodology because it's a process, or na ba siya dito sa results and discussion because it's a result. So, yung ana siya. Long and elaborate discussion. Your research paper's conclusion must be concise and straightforward. Avoid dwelling on descriptions and interpretation. So, ayaw na mo pagbutang-butang og mga description. So, kana siya. That should have been in the body of your paper, including discussing methodologies and results of your work, studies in detail. So na siya specific na part sa inyong paper. Kung asan ninyo i-discuss in detail. So while a brief summary of your studies included in your conclusion, the focus should be more about the insights, evaluation, and implications. So apologizing. So do not apologize. So we are sorry that we are not able to achieve the objective. So mga ingana. Again, when you do research, the goal is really to contribute something, to give insight. Okay? So isa sa mga good papers ko nababasa na ako is when I learned something new. So, for example, nga, through your research, nahibalaan na ito nga, daghanday kayo og malnourished na children sa kanina barangay. Okay? So, kanang mga ingana ng mga type of research na nag-conduct sila og ingani na testing and so on and so forth. Tapos through the testing, as a result of their testing, they were able to know that the number of malnourished children in this barangay is 90%. 90% of the children in this barangay is malnourished. So this is something that, okay, through your research, we were able to know about this one. Okay, so that is really something new na makontribute sa kuan sa inyong research paper. So what do we do about this one? So that's that is something that we would want to open to other researchers, or kamo mismo as the researcher, gusto ninyo siya i-further ano pa. So for example, katong mga applications nga kung magpa-test na mo tapos ma-realize ninyo ay daghan kig magkamali kung about asking symptoms na ang kunyari sa katong isa sa group research work sa katong isa ka group, no, na it's about chatbot, tapos na-discover nila na while doing the testing, majority of the testers dito gid sila magkamali sa part nga na ay symptoms, or ang chatbot kay dili na siya makasabot or dili na niya masabtan ang mga input, majority of the testers pag asking symptoms na. So kana siya, so it's a room for improvement. So the next time na maghimo na pud sila research, that must be something na dapat i-focus nila, ang katong asking of symptoms. Unsaon kaya para ang isa ka chatbot na when a patient or a test or ang patient mag-communicate siya sa chatbot na dili siya magkamali or masabtan niya ang mga input sa user. Unsa daay ang kasagaran na when you study about the inputs of the patient, unsa daay ang kasagaran nga gina-input sa patient about symptom reading nga dili di man masabtan sa chatbot. So either you change your chatbot na, or you train again whatever it is that unsa tong common phrases na ginagamit di ay sa mga patient when telling symptoms. Okay, so kana siya, so basin dieg daghan kayo mga mga judgment nga naka-input di ara. So how do we do this one, how do we address this one, kana siya. So those are some questions na room for improvement siya na pwede ninyo isulat sa conclusion. Your conclusion, just like the rest of your research paper, is meant to be analytical, not emotional. Okay, so I would like to emphasize this one. Research paper is meant to be analytical and not emotional. Avoid making sentimental statements to appeal to your readers. Emotions has the tendency to fall out of character with what should be logical and scientific research study. So mapansin ninyo na I don't know pud no pero usually ma-associate gid nato ang ako personally sa ako medyo maka-associate tag character sa isa ka tawo no kung either logical or emotional pero dili na siya permanente, dili na siya always. Okay, when you write the paper you avoid something na would ask the reader na kanang um na magoy ubang research paper, especially katong political related na mga research paper, and then na sila specific na party na side, na sila specific side, and then they tend to write the paper to sway or to persuade the reader to go to this kind of to go to this kind of party or side. So kanang ano na siya mga usually pag mga social science na researching ana siya. But when we do scientific bang good na work, when we do scientific na work, kita, especially kita, dapat logical siya. And it's always based on either the data that we have or the result that we were able to gather. Okay, so avoid pouring out your kanang koan. Although natay interpretation, natay sarili nato na interpretation sa data, but do not include something na dapat na siya basis gyud. Always gina siya, always and always and always gina siya. Balikon ako na siya na kay basis nganong giingon nimo na siya. So when I ask a question like during every consultation nato or checking, pagpangutan-on mo, and then nganong ingana man, you always need to kanang naamoy ebidensya ba na ngano gibuhat man nimo ni siya. Okay, kay nakita man gud mo ma'am nga ingani. So kana siya mo believe jud ko ana pag ingana ang klase gud na pagkatubag based on evidence, based on data, based on results, based on actual scenario. So dili siya on something na mo na as what I have said before, na dili lang siya based on your own observation, kana siya ginalikayan jud ako na siya na type of methodology no na okay sa na-observe man gud na ako na ingani, so what if bias lang jud ka kanang ingana gud na lang jud kay bias or to something, dili siya collective ba, dili siya na ay di man na maupod ang observation sa uban. Okay, so you need to always be it's always be about the data that you're able to gather, the result that you were able to find out. This is the actual scenario, this is what actually is happening, or that is based on the study also or the result of the other studies. Okay, so pwede na siya. So avoid making emotional statements in your paper. So that should be logical and scientific. Okay? So kana siya. Again, logical and scientific. Picking the right strategy to use in writing your paper's conclusion. Writing a research paper may follow the same general structure, but the approach to writing the concluding section may vary depending on the area of the... Okay, isa po niya siya sa mga na-observe na ko. Careful in copying others' work or others' template. Okay, so ako as naga-check sa inyong paper, dali ra jud kay nako mahibal-an and dali ra jud kay nako na ma-remember kung kani siya na certain phrase, nigawas ni siya sa ani na research work. Tapos nabasa na pud ako siya diri sa uban, especially kung kana siya na phrase, dapat dili man gyud ni siya mugawas sa ingani na phrase. So dali ra kay nako na siya ma-track or ma-remember kung ni gikopy lang jud ninyo ang gibuhat sa uban tas giilis-ilisan lang ang number. Okay? So avoid doing that one. Okay? So again, avoid doing that one. It's good that you took the initiative of referencing or looking at others' work. Okay? So para makaibalo mo, guided mo kung unsang inyong buhaton, pero do not copy. So ako mas masabtan pa na ako, mas acceptable pa sa ako akong nagkamuritsing na imong gisulat dira basta ikaw ang nagbuhat ana. Binuhatan nimo na siya and you really pour your effort in doing that. Ang unsa man ako na nanindot kay pagkasulat sa imong paper pero that is written by someone else. Okay, so as much as possible, kamo as the researcher, you practice. So sulat lang gina ninyo ang tanaw ninyo na dapat ninyo gusto ninyo isulat diara, and then mo gani nang pulos sa to ang checking and consultation para makabalota kung nabata sa tama na direction or dapat ba na i-change na to siya or i-paraphrase na to siya. Basta always remember, do not copy others' work. Okay, do not copy others' work. The tone of your research paper, whether it is analytical, argumentative, explanatory, also plays a role in choosing the best approach. For example, if you would like to invite your readers to consider and explore a new idea that has developed from your argument, posing a new question may be the right strategy to use. If you would like to delve into the possible weaknesses in your research, addressing limitation may be the best way to go. Whatever the strategy or approach you would use, make sure that it maintains the consistency of the flow and tone of your research paper, as well as deliver your final message clearly and with the impact of your desire to leave your readers. So that's your conclusion. So examples of conclusion. So very short example lang gid ni siya. Okay, so for example, this paper, so nag-start siya, in this paper, we presented a benchmark work on multilingual neural machine translation for major Philippine languages. So basically, this is what the paper was able to achieve. Okay? So, pwede siya ingana ang imong opening statement. So, pwede po na inyong opening statement sa inyong conclusion ingani siya. Unsa ang inyong nabuhat. Okay? But that is based on your objective. Okay? So, dapat align siya sa kung unsa to inyong objective. So, kaniman siya kay ang goal man ani na paper is to build or bridge the Philippine languages with multilingual neural machine translation. So, ang iyang opening statement is, in this paper, we presented a benchmark work on multilingual neural machine translation for major Philippine languages. So, we presented two translation approaches. So, nagsugod na og katong unsa to ang gibuhat. Very short. One sentence lang na siya for the methodology. Okay? Two translation approaches. So, although pwede ninyo siya ibutang, so kani siya, for example, two translation approaches, which is the MNMT and DNMT. So, that is two approaches na siya. Pero wala na gi-mention dari. Pwede po din nyo i-mention sa to ang inyong magipang buhat. So, and then this is just the methodology. So, and then result. Results show that the pivot-based technique and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. So, as what I have said, I really like it when I write the conclusion nga dito na nako ibutang ang future work. So for future work, we plan to have a thorough extrinsic evaluation. So this is something that you would want to do in the future. Okay? So after writing this paper, kanina po ang ato ang gusto buhaton next. So kana siya. So short lang gid na siya ang conclusion. So no need na taas kayo na siya. Seldom na jud ko makakita conclusion nga isa ka page gid ang conclusion. Okay? So very short, it's a concise consolidation of everything that you did. Okay? So for example, kani siya. Mingon ka na okay. Okay, so ngayon siya dire ha. This is a negative. So this is a tone of a negative na result. Pero na siya giingon na positive. So tanawa ha. Although zero shot may be a good technique for MNMT, the translation, so MNMT is a multilingual neural machine. The translation it generated oftentimes contain code switching, mostly English words, as discussed in the lexicosyntactic diversion section. Compared to zero shot and pivot-based techniques, DNMT, okay, so DNMT is a technique na gigamit nila during the experiment. Okay, so gigamit nila during the experiment. Kaya lang, na siya mga dili siya daghan kay siya dili ma-handle during the translation. So, handle the retention of the sentence structure well. This could be attributed to the model's pre-processing mechanism. Also could not see any relation to the result of our attempt to cluster languages. So, this is negative. Pero tanawa, naging siya, but we see this as future direction of the study. So, you always do not end your paper or your statements in a negative tone. Dapat naging kay positive na tone, ana. So, kani, for example, kay isa man gud sa objective or question nga gi-post ani na study is, naabay relationship ang clustering sa languages sa result sa translation. So, dire, ang niingon siya, na wala relation ang clustering of languages sa result sa machine translation performance. But we see this as a future direction of study. So ibig sabihin, pwede pa siya, napa siya room for improvement or napa siya room for more experimentation. Okay? So another example is kanisha. So in this paper, we empirically evaluated the result of the extracted unigram feature. So you start first kung saan yung gibuhat, that is aligned to the objective. So results presented gave an overview of an ongoing, so on and so forth. So this is just a short consolidation of what the results and discussion is all about. So sa results and discussion, detailed kay na siya, pag-abot dire, summary na lang na siya. So tanawa ang results and discussion. So pwede ka maging ani sa results and discussion. And kay maging ani na result, kung bar graph, kung applicable sa inyo ang bar graph, pwede nyo siya ibutang. So, kana siya. And then, although the classification for reduce did not give a possible area, so okay, so this is really one of my favorite na ginasulat gyud kanang unsa ang future work. Okay, so unsa ang future na pwede buhaton. So a possible area for future research is a deeper investigation and the instructed features taken from the components of a much larger data set. So meaning, isa sa mga study na buhaton is to really collect and build a big data set for that specific language, and then consider also using bigram diagram features both extracted from PC and Word to Vex. So mga ingana. Okay, so this is an example of a conclusion. So that's it for the conclusion. So those groups na medyo taas ng agi sa paper, you can, pag mahuman na mo sa results and discussion, you can start writing the conclusion na part. Okay, sige. So far, question? Question? So if wala, I'll ask the group of Geno to present your R&D to the class.
Okay po. Wait lang po. So, makita siya?
Yes.
Okay. So, mag-start tayo dito sa top. So, i-explain naman namin, ma'am, anong gawin mo?
Yes. You explain how did you do the testing,
Okay.
and then your result.
Okay. So, first, ang testing kasi namin is, nag-send kami ng link ng prototype namin sa 2 respondents. Pero, karon kay wala pa man sila nag-respond. So, first, we did alpha testing muna, which is, ang testing kay done by the researchers ourselves. Ako, si Jam, and si Justin. And ito siya na format na gi-utilize lang namin yung examples na gi-post ni ma'am sa classroom para meron reference and all.
Mm-hmm.
So, muna siya, gi-follow namin ang advice ni ma'am na since madami man kami masyadong feature sa prototype, gi-categorize namin siya by feature. So, itong table sa feature 1. So ang P ug F is si P kay nag-stand for pass and si F kay fail. So gi-evaluate na mo ang per feature depende sa percentage sa mo pag-evaluate sa feature mismo. Ganun.
Mm-mm.
So, ang sa remarks din is ito ang parang overall na observation namin sa feature itself. Then dito namin gilagay ang discussion kung anong na-observe namin sa table. Then yun siya ang hantod sa pinakalas na feature. Pero alpha testing pa lang ni siya kay supposedly we will be doing the beta testing pero wala pa man good na respond amo ang respondents kay ang isa kay nagka-emergency daw then ang isa kay missing in action pa po. Pero ano pa po na mo sila from time to time gina-update or nag-ask kami if pwede na ganun. So mo na to siya ma'am.
Okay, sige. Thank you, Jeno. Okay, so that's for the group of Jeno. So hopefully, no, mag-respond sila for before Monday.
Yes,
Sige. Thank you. And then next, let's have the group of Camille. Naba si Camille? Nico? Ay, dara na si Camille. Okay.
Nalate ko, ma'am. Sorry.
Sige.
Dokyo among 8%, ma'am.
Yes. First, you share to the class unsa ninyo pagpa-test or unsa ang inyong way of testing tapos document.
Wala kami pagka-test. Paan pa lang. So, kani ang dokyo. Wala kami kapatest, ma'am. Maybe tomorrow pa jud ni ma'am. Kay busy man good ang teacher. Nakaklase po siya.
Okay, it's okay.
So, kanin ma'am, bago na namo ang mga methodology, ma'am, like atong giingon nimo, ma'am. And then, sa the development pod, ma'am, mo pod to gibago na mo ani na part kung ating dere sa method and materials mga bago dara na part, ma'am. So, ato sa results and discussion mamula pa po. And then,
Di ba napakita mo form sa ko last time?
form, ma'am, katong sa results.
Ay,
Ano na form, ma'am?
wait lang ha. Inyo ba to? Itong FNAI form. Kitsa ba to na group na nagipakita sa ko na form? Inyo ha dito, Jean. Okay, sige. Sige, thank you, Camille. Sige, let's have the group of ipakita ra gud ang inyong form sa pagkatong pagpa-test. Katong na color. Inyo halagi to. Sige. So, let's have the group of Jean. Thank you, Camille. Let's have the group of Jean. Pa-share sa inyong way of testing. Katong form. Dara. Mm-hmm. Okay, sige. Very good. Okay, so that's another way no of mo na ang ilahang pagpa-beta test sa ilahang target na mga testers or katong dyslexic na learners. Okay, so that's uh, katong other or ways where you can actually test your respondents. How about the group of Delgado? Nakapatest mo gahapon?
Ulaw kalakaw gahapon ma'am kani kusog ang ulan. Bali ugma pa ko sa buntag madto sa para sa beta testing. Sa alpha testing ma'am na test na pud namo.
Okay,
Sige.
sige. Okay, so sa ilaha, lahi po nila kay ano lang no, i-record lang man ninyo no. Tapos you let them use, tapos ask whatever. Kay farmers, magod so lahi. Medyo lahi ang ilahang kuan. Ang strategy pod kay, depende gid siya sa tester. Sa kung farmer siya, medyo murag kuan kayo kung paansero ninyo sila mga form, tapos mga ingana. Okay, so 14 siya so far for, yes, Vincent.
Hello ma'am.
Nangayo digtabang si Vincent, mga groups, katong kung mangayo information si Vincent, palihog ko, tabangin niyo si Vincent.
Tama na katong others at katong group dai na parts sa amo nag-send ko murag katong nag-send ko information dito sa Discord. Pwede maunsa lang send lang sa ako. Tapos ma'am kanang ang question na ba kay sa testing good kay balitanan ba sila mag-test dito or pwede katong isa lang silang grupo?
Isa lang sa ilang grupo.
Isa
Pwede
lang
lang isa
na.
lang sa ilang grupo. Oo.
Sige ma'am. Thank you ma'am.
Okay. Sige. Napay question? Okay, sige. So kung wala na, groups that can already start with you already have an idea, no? So kung medyo kabalo na mo kung unsa ang kuan sa inyong results and discussion, you can start writing na the conclusion of your paper. Okay, so para by Monday, after na ko mag-check sa results and discussion, pwede na po mo magpa-check sa conclusion. Okay, so like magpa-checking lang. So dili pa siya as in full graded. Okay, so kato lang. And then I've already talked to Sir Chris Manero, and then I asked him to facilitate on the research symposium. So again, we'll announce the symposium para we'll invite viewers to attend the symposium. Siguro by 26 or 28, we'll release the poster to announce na research symposium, and then probably we'll move the schedule to 31 or to 2. So, May 31 or June 2 to give you more time to prepare your slides, tapos slides ninyo, and then demo. So, 15 minutes lang ang presentation overall, 15 minutes, 10 minutes slideshow, so PowerPoint, tapos 5 minutes ang demo sa app. Okay, so 5 minutes ang demo, 10 minutes ang presentation, slideshow, and then 5 minutes for question and answer. So 20 minutes tanan per group. Okay, so sagol na siya, one whole day for the whole 2 sections na siya. And then sa 22, dili madayon ang ato ang workshop, webinar. We'll move it sa 29. Kay nagka-emergency ang ato ang speaker. So hopefully dili niya i-cancel kay kapoy jud kay mangita og kuan. Kapoy jud kay makita og speaker. So 22, either 22 or 29. So canceled ang 22, we'll move it sa 29 na lang. Okay, and then kato siya. So kato lang reminders na to, tapos mag-expect mo nga na i-posting sa CCS na page, Facebook page, either 26 or 28, invitation for others to watch the presentation or symposium. And then and then June 2, final na siya, June 2 ang ato ang research symposium. Okay? So again, start mo, prepare na lang mo, 10 minutes ang PowerPoint presentation, 5 minutes demo sa prototype, and then the remaining 5 minutes for the Q&A. So 20 minutes each for each group. Sige, so far, katulang man ang atong announcement. Question?
Ma'am, na ako question, ma'am.
Yes.
Na human na may extract ni Errol atong 5 books po, ma'am. Basig napakayatag na another 5 books po, ma'am.
Oo, sige. Mag-send ko. Thank you for the reminder.
Okay po, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and then let me know siguro by tomorrow kung mahuman na ninyo butang tong table. Nag-extract lang more, nabutang na ninyo sa table.
Human na naman, ma'am. Pati sa
okay,
table, ma'am.
Sige, I'll send another 5 books
Okay,
today.
ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, sige. So, napay other question?
Ma'am?
Yes.
Pero pwede may pa-usab sa dates, ma'am, kina.
Ay, sige, sorry.
Ano mga
So,
mga
June,
reminders lang.
sige. So, May 22, ay, wala tay webinar sa 22, no? 26 or 28. So, depende pa siya. Mag-storya pa mi ni Sir Chris. May 26 or May 28. Postings ni siya sa poster, reminder, or invitation sa CCS page for the research symposium. So, dili ninyo ni siya trabaho. 26, so dili ni siya 24 day, I mean. May 24 ang checking, final checking nato sa results and discussion. Okay, final checking, results and discussion. And then, you can do na the conclusion and abstract and the whole paper sa 25 to 28. So, checking lang tani, 25 to 28. And then, you can prepare for the final research symposium would be on June 2. So, again, May 24, graded checking sa results and discussion by 24. And then, research symposium June 2. May 29 kay ang last webinar na to. Or katong third webinar, I mean. Third webinar would be May 29. Tapos June 2 ang research symposium. Tulo lang man ka dates, I think, ang kailangan nato i-remember. May 24, graded checking for results and discussion. Third webinar, ang 29. Tapos June 2 ang research symposium. Tapos what to prepare? 10 minutes na slideshow presentation or slideshow. Tapos so slideshow 10 minutes, 5 minutes na demo sa prototype, tapos 5 minutes na Q&A. So each group kay 20 minutes ila ang allowed sa inyo, ha. Okay? Sige. Napay question? Lang. Sulat na ka.
Ma'am, last na. Ma'am.
Sige.
Sa slideshow, good ma'am, or tong sa presentation, ma'am, unsa ang dapat na maibutang dito?
Sa slideshow, kailangan June 2 kay research symposium. Okay, sa slideshow, kato lang, introduction ninyo, ang introduction, tapos sa part sa inyong introduction would be the objective of the study, unsang goal sa study, tapos after sa introduction, some RRLs, ayun ninyo, kanang pag mag-discuss mo RRL, dili jud na as in super detailed gud na RRL, pero katong significant na RRLs gud ang inyong i-highlight during the presentation. So, tapos after sa RL, ang methodology, tapos results and discussion, and then conclusion. So, kana lang 5. So, kung yun sa lang po din yung inyong paper. Pero more on, of course, when you write when you create or when you make your presentation, more on graphics na siya or less text. Less text siya. Pag gusto na mo magbasa og more information about what you are saying in the presentation, we'll just look at the paper. Ana man na siya usually. Okay, so then introduction, that includes problem statement and or objective. Tapos RL, tapos methodology, tapos results and discussion. Tapos conclusion. Okay, tapos introduction, RL, methodology, results and discussion, tapos conclusion. Tapos, so that's 10 minutes. So, pwede siguro mo mag 2 slides per, or 1 slide sa introduction or 2 slides sa introduction, 2 slides sa RL. Pwede siguro, then, 3 slides or 2 slides sa methodology. So, pila na to? Kana siya. Tapos, sa bang mas daghan? 3 slides siguro sa results or depende sa inyo. Basta, I think kung given the time na 10 minutes, kaya siya, short lang na siya pero you just siguro choose what important lang na kuan. Basta ang detailed na information about, you can always refer to your paper. So pag medyo ma-short na mo sa kuan, sa presentation, pwede mo maingon na detailed information is seen in the paper, something like that. So, kana naman siya. Introduction, RL, methodology, results and discussion, tapos conclusion. And then, katong kuan. Sa methodology. Ginaisip na ako kung unsa ba ang mas nindot na strategy. Either you present the prototype before you present the results or after na sa tanan. Unsa may tanaw ninyo? Mas nindot siguro, no? After sa methodology, i-present ninyo ang inyong prototype or after na sa conclusion. Okay, para mas ma-appreciate ang results and discussion or after na ba sa conclusion? Sige, after na lang sa conclusion. Sige, pwede po. Manon sa ninyo tanan, presentation, slideshow, tapos demo sa prototype. Okay? So, napabay question?
Wala na po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, sige. Kung wala na, I think that would be all for this afternoon. Bye everyone and good luck sa inyong kuan. Good luck and enjoy writing.